You are listening to the Nature's Premier Podcast, Episode 17. Here on the Nature's Premier Podcast, we talk about everything from bees to babies and sustainable living. Join us while we talk about natural parenting and different ways to live a more sustainable lifestyle for ourselves and our future generations to come. Now let's begin. Welcome back to the Nature's Premier Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Nichols, founder of Nature's Premier Diaper Service here on Long Island, New York, and I am so excited and very grateful to be here with you all today. So today's question of the day that was submitted through Facebook at Nature's Premier Diaper Service is, what are the benefits of reading to your baby? So this is a pretty loaded question, as we all know that there are so many benefits of reading to your child. So today we're going to go over some of the key benefits, but if you guys want to have like a second part of this episode, please do feel free to tweet us or shoot us a message through Facebook or even email us at podcast@naturespremier.com and let us know if you're interested, and we will definitely have a part 2 of reading to your child and all the benefits that come with it. So we're going to focus today again on some of the key benefits of reading to your baby young and introducing, a love of reading to them as soon as possible. In today's age, reading is becoming less and less common due to technology, lack of time, interest, and the like. In our fast-paced society, we are forgetting many of the fundamental benefits of reading, and it's something that will negatively affect our generation as we get older. No matter what new technology comes out, there is still a strong place for physically reading a book, especially with the many proven results that come with it. It may seem obvious, but many parents tend to overlook these advantages of reading to their children or having them children read as soon as they are able or even way before them. Some families turn to expensive programs and all sorts of techie activities as a way to overcompensate and give their child a jump start in life when they just overlook the very simple, idea of reading to their kids when they are young, which will give them a very strong, solid footing and love of learning as they grow in life that a tech program, a tablet, or computer game simply cannot. Before we dive into the benefits of reading, I'm going to ask our listeners today to share this episode with anyone that they know that is pregnant, currently planning a family, or has children of any age. The impacts of reading are fantastic and really make such a difference in the lives and well-being of our children. So it's important to get this episode out there to those people who can really use this information, especially if they are parents or if they are taking care of children in their home. If you are a child-free family or live alone, you can certainly use this information still that we chat about in today's episode, as reading is great and benefits everyone of any age. Exposing your children to books, whether it be at 6 days or 6 years old, has been proven to have a very positive effect on their brain development, which is why many researchers and pediatricians continue to recommend introducing your child to reading as young as infancy. Reading not only works the mind, but it works the brain as well. One of the benefits of starting your children off with reading is the workout it gives their brain. A study conducted by author John Hutton, MD, National Research Service Award Fellow, and Division of General and Community Pediatrics at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, shows that for the first time, reading exposure, especially during the critical age of development prior to kindergarten, has a meaningful and measurable impact on how a child's brain processes stories and may help to predict reading success in the future. Researchers in the study looked at the brains of 19 3 to 5-year-olds using MRI technology. Researchers scanned the children's brains while they listened to recordings of a woman reading stories, as well as while they listened to background noise, in order to see how their brains responded when faced with different types of stimulation. The team also gathered information about how stimulating the children's home reading environments were, which they assessed by asking things like how frequently they read and whether they were exposed to a variety of books. The MRIs revealed that children from more stimulating home reading environments had greater activity in the parts of the brain that help with narrative comprehension and visual imagery. Their brains showed greater activity in those key areas while they listened to stories. The findings concluded that reading to babies and young children is very important and helps to prime their developing brains. This is why it's so important to introduce your children as young as possible to reading. If you are listening to this and you haven't done that already, for whatever reason, it's never too late. Just pick up a book, sit down, and read with your child. And even if they are able to read on their own, reading a book with them that they have interest in, whether it be, an actor, a hobby, a sport, getting something that they will engage in, especially for older children, will really help them jump on the ball and get with reading. Especially if you reduce their tech time, if they are on tablets, or, if they're old enough that they have, a cell phone and things like that. Just having a balance of reading and technology would really take them a long way. Reading also helps to expand your child's vocabulary, which will help them later in school. A study conducted by the American Academy of Pediatrics in 2014 shows that reading daily to young children, starting in infancy, can help with language acquisition and literacy skills. So that is definitely a strong benefit, especially with children that are heading off to school, in a few years or are currently in school. It's definitely a strong benefit that they will have with them. The more books children read, the faster their vocabulary is expanded. Books help them to learn new words and new ways of using the words that they already know. This accelerates preschool child development and also improves their soft skills in the long run. Another benefit of introducing reading to your children is that it helps to stimulate imagination in a way that TV and movies simply cannot. Now, one of the best examples of this is when you hear people that read a book and then watch a movie, and there's oftentimes a lot of disappointment. Like, for example, the great novels that we all know of, Harry Potter, there were a lot of people that were very upset with the way the movie portrayed the book. Now, for me personally, I read all of the books. I love Harry Potter, and I thought the movies were awesome. But I think what happens with people that read the books, and this certainly happens to me, it didn't happen with Harry Potter, but when you use your imagination and you create these characters in your mind of what they look like, of how they should be, and then someone portrays it for you on TV screen or on a movie, it's sometimes it can be disappointing because you already had your imagination spiked, your curiosity was already engaged, and you had this idea of how the characters should be. And that's because reading really triggers a lot of different parts of your brain, and it really does work certain key elements that create the story for you and really hone your reading comprehension. So although some people may hate the movies of certain books, that just shows you why reading is so important because, it really does stimulate the brain of all ages. I mean, like, for example, my uncle is in his mid-70s and he reads probably 5 or 6 books a week. I mean, and they're ranging in all different degrees. And he's a big kid. He loves kid books. I mean, really, he absolutely loves reading and his curiosity is constantly engaged. My kids love him. He's just a joy to be around. And, it's a nice, character booster almost of being a reader. So his imagination is just that of a kid's, and it's a lot of fun to see him engage with children, talk about the books he's reading. He has made my daughter love Harry Potter, and it's just nice to see that go back and forth. But anyway, that was a little side note. But yeah, that's a big reason I think why some people hate movie versions of books that they love, because their imagination was piqued, and that should show you that books are amazing because they really do trigger that in your mind regardless of your age. Reading regularly stimulates children's imaginations, accelerates their emotional development, and fosters natural curiosity. Children quickly learn to visualize scenarios mentioned in the stories by reading the text alone, which strengthens their reading comprehension, something that many children today are simply not strengthening due to excessive technology use in most cases. A lot of children are really not spending time reading, and it's society. It's making it like an easy thing for kids to ignore because, hey, why would you read if you can just Google something? Why would you go to the library and take out a book? Why would you go through that trouble if you could just go online quick? And again, it's a fantastic tool, but I think we're unbalanced in our technology versus reading. And it really is affecting children. It's showing in test scores, throughout the states that reading comprehension is at an all-time low. Along with stroking their imagination, reading really does help children to develop a sense of empathy with the characters, allowing them to feel how they would feel in different situations and life settings. This helps children to have a better understanding and care for the world and people around them. Through a variety of books, children learn about people, places, and events outside of their own experience, which are real character builders for them at such a young age that they will take with them as they grow older. And I mean, let's be honest, we can certainly use more, you know, empathy with our children, especially since they are taking over the world. I mean, they are our future. They will be the ones running the show. When we get older, they will be taking care of us. They will be our future conservationists. They will be our future politicians. And I think it's really, really important to develop a sense of compassion and, hone that empathy in our children at a young age because, everyone knows the old age, like whatever they learn when they're younger, they will carry through the rest of their life. And if they learn compassion, if they learn empathy, if they feel for other people that are not in their situation or outside of their life, then that's something that's really going to provide a very good grounding and footing for us, especially in society as we get older, because again, we're relying on them. So it's important to create strong leaders of the future. And one of the best ways to do that is through books. So for example, like my daughter, my oldest daughter, Autumn, she will be 10 on August 31st. So, she is a very, very big reader. Now, she started out with Harry Potter when she was in about first grade, and then really didn't finish them until she was in second/third grade. But then it was kind of like a snowball effect, right? Like when you do something that you love and you start to do other things, right? So in this instance, she loved Harry Potter. So she read about the author. She read about different things that kind of like offsets, like a web. It was like a web. You have Harry Potter, then you have the author, then you have other types of, different sports and, just different things that she started to really dive into and, eat the content, right? Like she reads all sorts of books with business, with self-help, with improvement. She's a child, so she reads a lot of children books as well, but it's starting to go into the self-help territory. And I mean, this is all her own doing. And it's because she was exposed to reading when she was such a young child. Now, there are a lot of parents that maybe don't expose their children to reading because they grew up in a background that weren't heavy readers. Like, for example, my parents did not read a lot. My father read, he read on and off. My mom didn't read so much. They were more of like TV and, oldies, movies people. They watched like I Love Lucy, All in the Family, like all of those like older types of shows. So there was always a TV on in my home. Now, for me, I've always just been a reader. Like, I've always loved reading. Me and my siblings, we loved reading. So we would always turn the TV off and we would read books. And then when our parents came home, we had to turn the TV back on. But that was because it was something that we were interested in. Now, a lot of families, too, like, maybe they weren't good readers and they immediately got turned off from reading. Maybe, they were self-conscious about reading. But what we have to understand is you'll never get better at something if you don't continue to do it. So a lot of families may not introduce books when they're younger to their children, but they are doing a disservice. Now, if you're listening to this episode today and you haven't introduced books to your children, grab any book, grab anything that you think your child will be interested in, especially if like they're over the age of 5, right? Like see what they're interested in, whether it be like Minecraft or I don't really know like what kids are like, too into. Maybe it'd be like soccer or it could be anything, right? Maybe they're into like spooky stories. Grab something that's fun and create like a love for them with reading. Like let them dive into it. And it's going to take a little bit of time because when you do this when they're younger, it's something that they'll just hold on to and they'll jump with. Like for example, my daughter's been reading since she was a baby. I remember I got these DVDs, which I don't know if they really work. I mean, I don't know, but it was like Your Baby Can Read. So I think it was more of like a parlor trick, but that's my own personal opinion. But she was exposed to reading at such a young age. So now that she's almost 10, she's an avid reader. She reads on a 7th grade reading level. She's very into reading. And it's not because she has a crazy IQ. It's not because, she's the next president, although I'd like to think she would be. It's really just because she was exposed to reading at such a young age. So if you want to, expose your children to reading, and if they are over the age of 5, find something that they are interested in and just slowly introduce it to them. Maybe if they are interested in playing like video games and stuff, take like 20 minutes a day out and let them read. It might come off like a little bit of a chore, but once they get into the habit of it and they really start to, develop and hone their skills with reading and raise their self-confidence, especially when they finish their first book, you are going to see that they are going to switch real quick to reading and want to read more and more. Technology doesn't have that much of a hold that children can't be exposed to reading at an older age and not still love it. It's not something that they have to do when they are younger, or else they're going to hate it. So definitely introduce it to them at any age, even if your child's in their teens, something that you could certainly introduce to them still. So another overlooked benefit of reading to your child is the bonding time that you get with them. We live in a very fast-paced world where we are often overstimulated, have little time to spend with each other, and are physically stressed and exhausted. Children feel that too. They pick up the energy from their parents and those around them, and it negatively affects them as well. The parent-child bond is an essential foundation for the developing child who finds security and confidence in his or her parents' love. As parents take time from their hectic schedules to give their children quality, undivided attention, this resonates with children, showing them that they are loved and are important. Reading promotes a strong, nurturing bond, strengthens communication between you and your child, and provides security, comfort, and higher self-esteem. The intimacy of reading and the bonding experience children receive from reading with their family, or even reading next to another reading family member, helps to strengthen their love of reading and allows them to positively associate with reading as being a good thing that they want to continue to experiment with and enjoy throughout the rest of their life. There is a deep psychological connection one makes with positive experiences as a child that they take with them. So take a few minutes at the end of the day, whenever possible, grab a good book and read with your baby or child, regardless of their age. If they have a good, positive connection with reading, they will continue to do it throughout the rest of their life, or they may stop for a little bit and jump into it later in life. I mean, it really depends on, what kind of environment they're in, if it's something that they do a lot of reading in, or, if that's promoted in the family. But I know that for me personally, reading wasn't a strong foundation in my family, but it's something that me and my siblings picked up and we were just always interested in. Now, I've also heard the thing like some people don't like to read out loud because when they were a kid and they were in class, if they had a problem reading or pronouncing words, or they were just anxious, they were made fun of. So that triggers something in their mind that makes it a negative connotation with reading. So they don't read when they get older. So it's super important just to, have that security and comfort with your child, even if you take 10 minutes a day, even if you take 10 minutes every 3 days, whatever amount of time that you have in your schedule that you can sit down with your kid and just, give them your undivided attention, really will help them to, develop a love of reading and really help strengthen the connection between you and your child. It helps with communication skills, it helps with raising their self-esteem, and there's really so many benefits of reading with your child or even reading next to your child. So we hope that these tips were helpful for you guys today. Again, just a disclaimer, there are so many more benefits of reading with your baby or reading to your baby that we highly recommend you checking out. If you are interested in a part 2 of this episode, please feel free to tweet us out at Nature's Premiere, or shoot us a message through Facebook, or shoot us an email at podcast@naturespremiere.com. We are always accepting questions. We are always taking advice for new episodes on the podcast. And if you are interested in collabing as well, please put it in the title of your email, interested in being featured on the Nature's Premiere podcast or something to that effect, so we know which person to direct it to. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. We really appreciate you listening to this, and we are very grateful to be able to continue to bring you this content weekly. If you guys haven't already, please do rate and subscribe to the podcast. It really does help us get up there and shown to more families who can use this information. Thank you guys so much again for checking out the podcast. And until next week, we hope you have a wonderful day and week ahead, and we will check you guys back again next Tuesday. Take care, friends.